Yeah, so for people who don't know, Tobi, you changed the name actually, haven't you, to Diverse, the name of the company,
Yes,
right?
I have.
Okay.
I have indeed, yeah.
I do have, when I find it, so founder of Diverse, a careers platform supporting Black and ethnic minority students and grads in securing jobs and progressing their careers. So the way that me and Tobi know each other is we first met on Clubhouse because you run a room called Early Career, Early Career something? Early Careers.
Yeah, so we've got the Diverse Early Career Club
That's it.
on
Yeah.
Clubhouse. Yeah, every Wednesday, every Friday. Me and Neil dropping gems on Clubhouse. So yeah, it's been fun.
It has been really fun, and it's just grown and grown and grown. I think you're up to sort of 500 people at one point, right? Or 500, 600 people, which is crazy numbers of people to have on Clubhouse rooms. So what did you want to talk about today? What's the subject you want to talk about?
Yeah, so bit of a mixture. I love how Dom went on a bit of a rant. So I'm gonna emulate that. I'm gonna do a bit of an impassioned rant. Obviously, diversity and inclusion is a really important topic this year. Finally, a lot of people have finally caught up with that and kind of got on the topic. So I wanted to share kind of a little bit more about what some of the candidates are going through from the experience that I have kind of talking to them on a regular basis. For any, I guess, careers coaches or other applicants or employers to just have a little bit more empathy with kind of, I guess, some of the challenges they're facing. And then I want to go on a bit of a rant, as I said, on some of my best career advice. So I want to break that down into networking for jobs, and we will have a bit of Clubhouse there. CVs, applications, and interviews as well. So I'm going to try and, I think it's funny. I think I've got an interesting perspective because I'm very much new to the game. You've got 24 experienced career coaches on here, and I've just rocked up out of nowhere.
Well, the thing is, like you say that, but Tobi, you sit there in front of 500 people once a week giving out career advice, and I thought, well, who better to come on and give out advice than someone who, like, the amount, because the way that Clubhouse works, for people that don't know, you can have multiple speakers on, and I've learned tons being on there because you hear these great gems from all these other coaches that are on your rooms. As moderators, I'm lucky enough every week to be a moderator on there. Apart from yesterday when I was sleeping preparing for this, and yeah, so you've got probably more knowledge than most people do who've sort of been doing it for a couple of years, just because of the amount of questions that come through. So look, the floor is yours. If at any point you want me to jump in, I will jump in. If you've got any questions or you want to throw it to me, then happy to throw it back.
Yeah, I love that, Neil. And you know what? I think it's an interesting perspective, and I hope people in the audience would find that valuable because I feel a little bit closer to them than maybe some of the superstar coaches you've got, because I've kind of been down that route fairly recently. So I think that's where I can kind of engage well with the candidates. But kind of to get into it from a kind of a diversity standpoint, I think employers now, everyone's got their diversity statement. They're all putting out there. There's a lot of noise, and I do have a bit of sympathy for them because it's a difficult topic to be authentic on and really have impact. But simply kind of, posting a diversity statement, putting up the Black Lives Matter kind of post, or even posting on a diverse job board, which I do have one, is kind of not sufficient. Kind of employers are doing these things and expecting, oh, we're going to have loads of really diverse applicants now, surely, right? We've historically hired from Russell groups, candidates from high socioeconomic backgrounds, but now we've put out a few posts and we posted on this job board, so we'll be fine now. We'll get lots of diversity. Not the case at all. And it's because it's an uncomfortable topic and we ignore the overarching factors that are at play. And, I won't focus on this too much. We'll get down to some of our career advice. But I just want everyone to kind of understand and empathize with other people as well. And when we say diversity, it could be a huge amount of things. It could be disability, it could be ethnicity, it could be socioeconomic. But candidates from this demographic that I'm talking about, very often the first in the family to go to university. So they kind of hop on campus, they've got the university to deal with, they've got their studies, they've got, the social life, they've now got COVID, and they've got to do their applications as well. So you see Black and ethnic minority candidates in particular far less likely to be going for internships and placements in these early career roles. And then when they come out of university, their CVs don't stack up anywhere near as well. you see that 66% less likely as a black candidate to get a graduate scheme compared to your white counterparts. So that's kind of what they're dealing with. You know, if you ask, there is an ethnicity pay gap as well, not pay gap, sorry, attainment gap at university. And when asked about that, most students kind of reference socioeconomic factors that are at play that kind of giving you a disadvantage. And all of that tends to manifest itself in a lack of confidence, which I imagine a lot of people in the audience can kind of resonate with. So what I'm really trying to do is really democratize that access to the best early career advice as I can, to give them that confidence and help them through these application processes. So I get amazing people like you, Neil, to give advice that historically they're not getting access to, you know, but everything is free. So we're kind of getting them the best possible advice. So just to kind of wrap up on that and kind of say, for any employers listening especially, there's really 3 things that you can do much better. The first is to upskill and support. So provide your best advice for free. Give the opportunities for webinars, give networking opportunities, you know, create programs and fast tracking opportunities so that you can actually help these candidates through the process. They're not at the same point that everyone else is. So when they come to apply to you, it's not a completely balanced playing field. So you do need to give them some extra support. The other thing you can do is create value-driven content. So that's content on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, if you like, that is specifically designed to support these candidates and help them through the application process. And then lastly, insight. So get on to LinkedIn Lives, get onto Clubhouse, and let people know what it's really like working at your organization. I think that really helps. All right, now I'm going to go on my run onto some of my best early career advice. So the theme that I have and what I kind of really want to focus on is there's a spectrum from what anyone can say over here, and what only you are able to say and willing to do. So I'm going to talk about networking first of all. So I think Dom spoke really, really well on this. So I'm going to try not to cover everything he did. But one thing I want to say first of all is to dig the well before you're thirsty. So before you need the job, start building up the connections and the relationships with employers and people in the companies that you want to be in. So write down 5 to 10 companies that you're really keen to work at and start building relationships with them now. And there's 2 platforms I'm going to talk about on how you can do that. Clubhouse and then also LinkedIn. And again, this is really powerful because everyone is reaching out when they need a job, which then comes across a little bit inauthentic. It's very transactional. It's like, oh, I need a job. Can you get me one now? Whereas we're all humans, even recruiters, surprisingly. So they like to be kind of communicated and connected upon as such. So what you kind of want to do is, let's take LinkedIn, for example. Connect with people in the companies that you're interested in working in, like their posts, comment on their posts on LinkedIn, engage with their content, so that when you do reach out to them, it's much more of a warmer connection. You've already kind of warmed them up a little bit. They probably know who you are, and they're kind of ready for you to reach out. It's not a completely cold outreach. And when you do reach out, try to give value first. So rather than coming in with an ask, you're going to give value first. So it is a lot more like dating and relationships and that kind of thing. I've been in a relationship for a while now, a couple of years, so I've probably lost all my game. But you don't just jump straight in and go, will you go to dinner with me tonight? Like, that's not how it usually works in my experience. That doesn't work well for me. What you need to do is ask probing questions about them and what they do and what they enjoy, and kind of give them feedback on things that they've shared on LinkedIn. So that's my advice. Like, message people and say, Dom, I saw this post that you put out recently on CV writing. I thought that was really profound. It helped me out in this way. And this is what I thought about it. So everyone else is going to go in there and they're going to ask for a job. But what you're going to do is give value first. You're going to give feedback on something that they've shared on LinkedIn, which no one else has done. Another thing you can do, maybe they don't post on LinkedIn that much, but another thing you can do is reach out to them and say, I'd love to know more about what you do. So I'm really interested in marketing in the sports sector. And I can see you've worked there for a while and you've done projects in that space. I would love to know more about that. Could you tell me more about it and on a quick call? everyone's got a big ego and loves talking about themselves and what they do, pretty much. So that can be a great way in as well. So very much value first, and reach out on LinkedIn after engaging with their content. Another great thing to do is to do voice notes. So I've heard this from recruiters who've said, I got 100 applications for this role. No one reached out to me. If someone had just sent me a voice note thanking me for reviewing their application, for taking their time to review my application, then that would mean a lot to me, and it could really help someone get to the interview. Again, it's a spectrum of what is everyone going to do, and what are you going to do and are willing to do. How often is other candidates that you're going up against in a very competitive market, going to send a voice note to the recruiter just saying, look, I applied to this job recently, just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to review my application. You're standing out versus pretty much everyone straight off the bat. So those are just some of the things you can do. Develop kind of a rapport, a connection. This is the general idea I think people get wrong, is they make it a little bit too transactional. Because if you go to me and say, oh, Tobi, I'm interested in this role, can you help me out with that one? And it's just that, then if you don't get the job, you've just got to do that again and again and again until you get the job. You're just in a cycle. Whereas if you build a genuine connection with someone, like me and you, Neil, you could, if my business crumbles and falls, you're going to help me get a job, because we've built up a genuine connection, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But you make a really valid point, though, that when you have those connections and you have them already built, it's much easier to then, go to those people and say, this is what's happened. If you've already got that relationship built, then try and build a relationship off the back of needing one. If I think that's what you're saying, right?
100%. Yeah. Don't just ask and then try and get something. We don't walk around like that, do we? We don't walk around, to our friends. Oh, can you do this for me and I'll do that for you? No, you try and build up a genuine connection. So that's LinkedIn. We all know that very well. That's literally what it's for. And it's free, which is ridiculous. The second one is Clubhouse. A little bit more outside the box, a little bit more interesting. If I needed a job tomorrow, one of the first places I'm looking is going to be Clubhouse, which sounds very strange. And for anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's an audio-only social media platform. Started in Silicon Valley, so it is kind of quite US dominated, but there are rooms on specific topics. So it's kind of a little bit like live podcasting, where there's careers rooms that Neil and I run, sharing career advice. So you can jump into a room on that, you can jump into a room on football, whatever you're interested in. What is absolutely absurd is that I got on Clubhouse a few months ago and just started talking about early career advice. I had employers from Amazon, Google, Facebook, Estee Lauder, Activision, Capital One coming to me to say, Tobi, can I join your rooms? Can you join my rooms? I've never known anyone at these organizations before, and they are flooding into Clubhouse to get on, try something new. So for context, what we do is we have a room, a stage is called, where you've got, myself and hiring managers and recruiters from other firms talking about job opportunities and career advice. So they're on the stage, and if you hop into a room, you're in the audience, and you can put up your hand, get onto the stage and ask a question. So the most crazy thing in the world is now happening. You've got these employers that are on the stage and they're like, oh, I've got a product manager role open now in London. I need to find someone. I'm not finding some great candidates. LinkedIn's too expensive to post on, so I've not posted on LinkedIn. Does anyone know anyone? And then you can, if you need a product manager role in London, you can put up your hand and you can have a chat directly with the person who's trying to hire the position you want. And people are getting jobs off the back of this. It's absolutely crazy. And so from there, we talk about LinkedIn. You could just say, the recruiters, you say, connect with me on LinkedIn. We'll take this offline, and we can talk about it further. So it's a great way to get a referral for a role in a very unique kind of different format. So anyone who's not on Clubhouse, try and get on immediately.
There was a moment on Clubhouse where I was talking, and then it was one of the global directors at Amazon added to what I said, and then it was one of the global directors from, and I was like, why am I on this stage? This is crazy. This is mad. And it was on one of your rooms. And there was one time where we had like 9 Amazon execs all join at the same time, didn't they? Because they all want to have that sort of sort of their voice and their say in it. And it's like you said, you've kind of democratized it. I'm not going to be able to say that, it's been a long time, but that word, you've kind of made it a democracy across giving out that sort of advice, which is incredible, because we're getting advice from all these different types of people, all these different areas of not just industry but the world. Such a powerful tool. Clubhouse, by the way, guys, it's not on Android yet. I've seen a few of those messages on the side. It's only on iPhone at the moment, so sorry, I think it's coming out in May this year, so is what they've said. Yeah, back over to you.
Yeah, buy a cheap Apple phone. It's worth it. Like, where else could a kid from a borough in a council flat in Hackney just get on the stage and talk to some head of recruiting at Amazon? Where else could you do that? It's completely absurd. But yeah, I love it. It's amazing. So that's Clubhouse. The next thing I want to talk about is applications, CVs, and so on. Oh, and by the way, if anyone wants to ask about entrepreneurship as well and side hustles, I actually recently quit my job to do this full time, to build this business. So kind of very much focused on that. And I just want to say, because of the relationships I built off Clubhouse, I genuinely feel if I needed to, I could get a job with one of these companies, because it's that powerful as a tool. But yeah, applications, so CV. So now I'm going to get a little bit frustrated about this one. I've seen a CV today that was, so in the personal profile, it's like, I'm a team player, I'm an excellent communicator with a can-do attitude. And like, that was it. I'm like, again, come back to my spectrum. Anyone can say it. Only you can say it / are willing to do it. If anyone can say it, is it worth saying? What weight does I'm a team player with a can-do attitude? What does that mean? Prove it to me. Like, it just doesn't mean anything. What you want to be using the personal profile for, if you're going to use it, in my opinion, is key highlights, key accomplishments that are specific and relevant to you. So in that case, it should have been, skills with Python, did this digital marketing course online, JavaScript experience, whatever. That's specific and relevant to you. What employers are absolutely scared of right now, they're not getting any shortage in applications, right? They're getting enough applications. They want very, very specific applications, because that shows that you've done your research, that shows that you're passionate about working there, and that you really do want to work there. I'm talking to the likes of Warner Media, and they're saying, Toby, we don't want too many applications. We don't want you to help us get loads of applications. We just want people that really want to work here. So usually we've got to sieve through all these people on Indeed or LinkedIn who just feel like they want a job. So we need to get over this side of the spectrum and really show that we want to work at this company by being very specific. Take your time, tailor your cover letter, tailor your CV, do your research, go the extra mile, do the things that other people aren't doing, and make a very, very, very specific application. Ignore the buzzwords. If anyone can say it, that would be my advice. If anyone could say it, maybe don't say it, right? Yeah. That's kind of where I'm going with that. The other thing is, and I have a bit of a pet peeve when it comes to multiple pages of a CV. Everyone has a different thought on this, and I appreciate in some industries you'd have a couple of pages. But if you're talking about early careers, students and graduates we're talking about, could be college leavers as well. I probably should have expanded that. You don't need 3-4 pages on your CV. I've learned this now. I've been doing this for a year. I can pick up a CV within 5, 6, 7 seconds and get a feel for whether it's right for the role, because I know the role well and I've looked at lots of CVs. So we just skim through. In seconds. So give me even just one page. And this is the thing that I find. This is the dichotomy. The more information you put in, the harder it is for me to find the key information that's going to get you the role. Like, don't you think there's only ever a few key things that is really going to move the needle and get you the opportunity? So it's like, I see people flooding the CV with information and it just dilutes the key points. And it's like, it makes it harder to find. I just find that a little bit absurd. So I like it to be concise, to the point, and for me, 1 page, to be honest, because then it makes it easier to call out the kind of key information. And for me, that's a skill as well, to take on a lot of information and really condense it down. I'm impressed by that personally. That's a skill. Couple of things outside the box now, Neil. So I'm going to mix it up. I'm trying to show up your other careers coaches by coming outside the box. I don't know if anyone's come up with this.
I'm looking forward to it.
So, okay, cool. So I'm a recruiter. I've got to go through hundreds of CVs all day long. I'm sick of seeing CVs. All I do all day is look at CVs, right? So great that you've networked and you've sent me a voice note. That's really cool. I like that. What about video? Why are we not doing video CVs? Why are we not doing 60 seconds intro? My name's Tobi. I'm the founder of Diverse, an early careers platform. You know, I've got experience in marketing. I've run this many campaigns, and I really want this role with your company because X, Y, and Z. If someone does that for a role that I'm hiring for, I would be like, damn, we need to interview this person. Won't be for every company. Don't get me wrong. If it's a boring accountancy company, no disrespect to any accountants, but probably not going to work with them. If you're applying to Unidays, Warner Media, Spotify, Monzo, Amazon, you know, cool tech companies, what they do for a living is make innovative stuff. So how are they going to feel when they get someone who's super creative and showing that creativity with a cool video intro rather than a boring CV? Just a thought. Why not try it? I mean, if you're going for creative roles with creative companies, let's stand out from the crowd. Let's do a video intro. And worst case scenario, do your CV and just have a link to it, you know? So do both. That's my thought anyway. Just a little bit outside the box.
I agree. Look, I talk about this a lot to my guys. I like, you know, especially for cover letters, right? Instead of writing a whole cover letter, use something like Loom or Vidyard, where it records your screen and you have a little video of yourself in the corner. And instead of writing out why you're right for the role in a cover letter, do a video. Do a video cover letter. Have the job description on one side of your page, have the CV on the other side of the page, and say, as you can see, this experience relates to that. This is why I'd be great for the role, and here's a little bit about me. And it's just so much more powerful. It's so much more powerful to do that. And I'm not saying send that in with the application. I'm saying send that in, follow up with the person who you know is the hiring manager or the recruiter. Send that video afterwards, like Don was saying, right? If you've put the effort in to make yourself stand out, I'm probably going to get back to you, right? And it you know, like Al Smith has just said down there, it makes you human as opposed to just another resume in the queue. Very good point, Al. Al's actually on in a couple of hours speaking. And it's the more that you can show your sort of humanity, it's so easy to ignore a message. It's just so easy to ignore a message from a you know, I guess not faceless because there's a picture on LinkedIn, but someone that you don't know. It's so much harder to ignore someone who's actually put time and effort into doing a specific video for, hey, Tobi, my name's Neil. The reason I'm contacting you is, you know, I've applied for this role and I just want to talk a little bit about who I am, what my career objectives are, and why I think my values align with your company's, right? That sort of video, isn't like you said, it's not going to work every single time. But if the aim of the game here is to differentiate yourself from the rest of the market, that's what's going to do it.
Again, it's the spectrum. Is everyone willing to do it? No, they're not, because most of the time, people feel they just need a job, so they're not willing to kind of go the extra mile. And someone's put in, you know, no good for finance roles then. So I'm just saying, be wary of who you're applying to. You know, like if historically law firms have a set route of this is exactly how we want you to do it, might not work with them. But if it's a kind of an innovative, creative company that you think would value that, then it's something I would certainly do. The last thing I kind of would say for applications is this, and especially during this time where we've got kind of extra time on our hands, we're not kind of going out and about. I'll tell you a quick story. So one of my best friends his dream company is Adidas. So he was like, I really want to work at Adidas. One day, that's got to be me. I can't wait to be working on the football side of things there with Paul Pogba or whoever. Applies for the internship, the summer internship while we were at uni together in Loughborough. Rejected at the phone interview. Then he tries for the placement. Gets past the phone interview now. Got a bit of practice. Gets to the assessment centre. Gets rejected at assessment centre. Then we get to our final year. He goes for the graduate scheme. He gets past the phone interview, he gets past the assessment centre, and now he's got to final round interview. And what he really wanted to do was a marketing role in their football team, right? In their football kind of space, right? And so what he decided to do this time, knowing that he doesn't have any experience in that, because how do you get experience in that without kind of getting the job at Adidas or wherever? He said, you know what, Toby, I'm going to start doing what I would do in the role now before I get the job. So I'm going to start managing my own social media account around the business of football, and I'm going to market that. I'm going to start my own website, and I'm going to create content around the business of football. I'm going to write articles about what happened last week with Liverpool. And that meant when it came to the interview, it wasn't like we were just guessing about whether he could do this or whether he could do that. It's no. I've grown my social media platform from 0 to 500 people who are super engaged and follow me already. And I've done it via this means and this means. So I'm good at stories on Instagram. I know how to do those. Oh, but if you do the stories and then you also do carousels together, that works really well. And rather than like everyone else, they're just trying to see if you've got the right competencies, he's actually gone out of his way to do the role. So it's kind of just, I say that to say, don't necessarily wait for someone to give you the opportunity. Go out and try and see if you can do it yourself first. Like, what if that opportunity wasn't there to give you? Can you do a microcosm of it now? Like, for example, if you want to work in paid media, can you run Instagram ads for £5, for £10, for £15? Yeah, sure you can. See what works well on a small scale. And then again, it's all about what people aren't willing to do over here on the spectrum, so that when you do get to the interview, you seem super, super keen and passionate about it, and it's super genuine. So try a side hustle is what I'm saying. Especially if you're out of work, should we wait for employers to give us opportunities? I don't think so. If you can go out there and do something for yourself, that's going to add to your CV, and be proud of that as well. I see some people do that and not put it on their CV. Be super proud of that if you have the sort of the drive and the passion to set that up. And who knows, it might turn into a business and you don't need Adidas anymore. So that's what I'd say on that. So I don't know if I'm going on too long, Neil, but as you can see, I'm very much into this. I'm good. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah, cool. You're good. We've got some questions that have come through, so whenever you're done, we'll jump to the questions, okay?
All right. Let me finish my rant on interviews then. I love interviews, by the way. I used to just really enjoyed them, but I know it's not for everyone. First little tip, and this is a bit outside the box as well. That's my theme as well, in addition to the spectrum. Get into groups, like in the chat now. Can we like get 2 or 3 people together? We're all looking for jobs. Why are we not getting into groups? Historically, applying for jobs is completely solitary activity. We just do it by ourselves. We suffer through the rejection by ourselves. We do the job search by ourselves. If you look at university as students, you get into study groups to help each other out. You don't think, if you do well on the test, then I'm not going to do well. It doesn't make any sense. We should be supporting each other. So if we all want a job in finance, why are we not getting into groups of 3? Right, and we'll look for jobs together, which means when I need a rest, Neil's going to look for jobs for me. When Neil needs a rest, I can find some roles, and that way we can practice our interviews together. So we get 3 of us. We get me, Neil, we get Dom. Neil and Dom, you interview each other. I'm going to watch. I'm going to record you, and I'm going to give you feedback. So we can really put each other through our paces, just like an athlete would in training, and make the interview harder, the practice interview harder than the real one, because we're going to be mean to each other and make it really, really hard. So it's a breeze when you go there and you do the actual interview, right? And everyone now is probably thinking, assemble. Yeah, I like that. Well, Avengers assemble. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's thinking, but Toby, we're going for the same roles. We're going to be competing for positions. I don't want to let them know about it if I'm going for it. It's the wrong mindset to have, We shouldn't just be looking at one company of like, I can only work there, like, or nothing else, because what happens if you don't get the role, and even if, let's say I really want to work at Nike, I'm using the sports brands for some reason, it's right here. And Neil gets that job over me in our group of 3. And I'm probably going to hate you, Neil, for a little bit, to be fair, maybe a week. Then what's going to happen? Neil works at Nike. He can refer me for the role. He can help me next year. He knows the hiring manager. He knows the team. So worst case scenario, you get my dream job and you help me get in there at Nike, you know? And it's just that mindset change of actually, let's get into groups and let's help each other out here. It's very tough, you know, dealing with these rejections, and it's a full-time job. We shouldn't be doing these full-time jobs alone. So I'm going to think about this for my platform and how I can get more people together. And I'd welcome any ideas on how to do that. But I would just maybe encourage people to get into groups, find friends, and just work together, share jobs, test each other out, look at each other's CVs, and don't go through it alone. That's the first thing I would say. Obviously, we've got to do research. You know, go to Google News, find out what's going on currently. If it's Warner Media, you need to know, this is just an example, you need to know the TV shows, the films, whatever, that are under their umbrella that they're known for. If you can buy a product or a service with a company that you're applying for, do that. Get your hands on it or watch it or whatever it is, and so you actually understand it on a deeper level. But don't research too much. This is what I would say. Some people I find, especially now, maybe because we've got more time on our hands, kind of get too much bogged down in the detail, and then you get a bit of a brain sort of freeze. You know, it's like if I prepared too much for this and I had too many notes, then it gets into it, and I forgot, was I going to say this about interviews or that, and it becomes too much. So at some point, you just got to leave it, because you don't want to sound like a robot when you start. You don't want to sound like you prepared every single thing. So research and practice, but don't research too much. Second one, and this is going to be a humble plug for something on my platform, but I've got an interactive interview guide so that you can practice your interviews before the actual interview. So it's like, we wouldn't go to our driving test without going to do lessons first. Unless you're, you know, Sebastian Vettel or Lewis Hamilton, you're not passing first time if you've never practiced before. This is not how it works. So I've always been surprised by this. Let's practice our interviews first, you know? So if you're not sick of this this odd accent that I've got, then I've got 10 common interview questions. You can listen to me ask those to you, and there's a countdown timer for you to answer out loud and film yourself and so on, so you can really get ready for that interview. So even if you don't want to use that, just write down some of the common interview questions and answer them out loud, and get used to hearing your own voice and sort of practicing that way. Next thing, don't just answer the question. So again, I come back to my spectrum. What is everyone going to do? They're going to answer the question. You don't want to do that. That's what good candidates will do. They get a question, tell me about yourself, you know, why do you want to work here? Why this company? They just give an answer. What you want to do is use the question to your advantage. If you've done some research, if you've done something in the past, whatever, that they haven't asked you about, it's on you if you don't bring that up. So they can be, for example, tell me about a time when you've shown excellent analytical skills, right? And maybe you do the STAR approach, and maybe I should explain that. So STAR approach: situation, task, action, result, right? Example here. Tell me about a time when you've shown excellent analytical skills. I'm going to use the STAR approach. I'm going to tell them about something I did in university. Situation, task, action, result. What I'm going to do now is add an extra R on the end, which is review. So I'm going to say I've developed these analytical skills during my time at university, and we did this and this and this, and it led to this result. And then I'm going to review it, and I'm going to say, from this experience, I learned this, which I can now apply to this role at Capital One in this way. And that is why I'm going to be an excellent candidate for this position. So now I've stuck myself ahead of Neil and everyone else, because they've just told them a time when they were analytical. I've told them a time when I'm analytical. I've shown that I'm self-reflecting, I'm willing to learn, and what I have learned, and I've made it specific to the role. So with every question, try to go the extra mile, get on this end of the spectrum, and use it to your advantage. And that kind of leads me to the next point, which is to always finish strong with your answers. So it's exactly like a boxing match, right? At the end of the round, it's a cliche in boxing. Who wins the end of the round? You want to look like, the judges are humans, so they're like, Neil got Tobi just at the end of the round there with like a good flurry, so I'm going to give this round to Neil. I think of interviews the same way. If you've waffled on like I'm doing right now for an hour or whatever, then, and maybe you've lost it, you feel like you've gone a bit all over the place. The round's not over until the bell rings. You can bring it back right at the end. You get towards the end of the answer and you go, oh, so in conclusion, Neil, I'm the right person for this job because I've got excellent analytical skills that I've developed during my time at university, which is going to be a perfect fit for this position with Capital One. So I've lost it, I've waffled, but now I've brought it back strong. And it's the recency bias. It's the last thing the recruiter heard, because let's be honest, you spoke for a while, they were in and they were out, but you really close strong and you really close well. Same way you do in your essays and your conclusions, you summarize and you bring it back to the role in the company at the end. So finish strong, think like a boxer. This is a question I love. I'm a bit of a geek when it comes to psychology. You know this, Neil. We need to talk about evolutionary psychology on one of these as well, just randomly.
Just one random Clubhouse on a Wednesday. It's not early careers. We're talking about evolutionary psychology for 2 hours.
Could come into it. Beginning of the interview. Why did you decide to invite me to interview? What was it that you liked about my application and my CV that made you decide to invite me to interview? It's this principle called consistency principle. It's called. Once I say something about someone in my head, I want them to kind of be aligned to that. So it's a little bit of a Jedi mind trick, and I don't know if everyone's hating on this in the chat. Who knows? But if I say to Neil, why did you decide to invite me to interview? And then Neil goes to me, Toby, I thought I was really impressed with the social media kind of marketing internship you did back in the day. And it shows off your kind of impressive social media skills. Now, throughout the interview, Neil kind of has me in his head as someone who's good with social media. So when I talk about that as a topic, he's gonna feel a little bit more, okay, yeah, that's genuine. I remember, yeah, Toby is good with social media marketing. That's a tick for me, because we like to have consistency in our minds when we make up our opinions on how someone is. But even if you ignore the Jedi mind trick there, that gives me an opportunity to talk more about something that's important to Neil that he's identified on my CV or my application. So now I'm saying, oh, Neil, you like that? Did you not know I also did this social media project here? Or I did this course, or I learned this online. You know, that just invites you to add more about what Neil really thinks and feels is important. So that's I think is super powerful. Yeah, it's super powerful. And it invites them to say something good about you, you know, which is really valuable, I think. Next thing, you know, confidence. Bring your swag to the interview. You're interviewing them. They're not interviewing you. You're interviewing them. Do I want to work there? You know, that's what you should be asking yourself. Are you good enough for me as a business? So be confident. Just think there's only one of you. There's Amazon, there's Google, there's plenty of those. There's only one of you, you know, you're unique. You get to choose where you work. You know, there's a bunch of businesses out there. So just bring your confidence with you to the interview. You could be rejected. Someone could do way better than you in the interview that they do, or they might have networked, or their uncle might work at a company. You got no control over that. So go in and think, you know what, I might not do this. I might not get this offer, but I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to do an interview that I'm really proud of. And if I don't get it, let it be because someone just did a better interview than you. Don't let it be because you were kind of nervous or kind of didn't show your true personality. Go in there confident and say, you know what, I'm going to be Toby. I'm going to show my best self. And if they like me and they think I'm a good fit, then great. You know what, Neil? I think that's what I got for you. Yeah, I think that's what I got for you.
It's incredible. I love it. It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, 40 minutes straight. 40 minutes straight.
Yeah,
I love
40 minutes. That's the rant. Yeah, yeah. Someone said balance, confidence, and humility. Yeah, that's a good point. I think it depends on your personality. Like, I probably come across a little bit crazy here, but I think I'm naturally quite humble, so I wouldn't come across too sort of crazy. But what I find is that people really suffer from a lack of confidence more than anything, and I've found candidates not going to video interviews, not going to interviews, cancelling them because they don't feel confident. So that's why I wanted to add that in. But sorry, Neil, let's...
there's a couple of questions that have come through for you, mate. So the first one, and this was sort of back towards the beginning of your talk. If they've never done it before, then how are companies going to know what content to put up in order to level the playing field for roles, etc., that those diverse candidates are interested in?
Good question. Head over to wearediverse.io and book in a chat with me and we can talk about it. But no, seriously, in answer to the question, I mean, you can look up my Instagram. We are diverse on Instagram, and see what I've done recently for the Sanger Welcome Institute and for Warner Media. Simply put, if you don't know what to do, make an Instagram post about how to get a job at your company. So if I work for Lloyds Bank, I'm going to make a carousel, which is the 5 things we look for in a candidate at Lloyds. This is the 5 things we want to see from you. This is how you get past our interview process. This is how you get past our online tests. You're giving them value. You're giving them support, and this is relevant not just because of diversity, but also Gen Z or anyone who's using social media. You're giving them value first. What a lot of employers do is just post a job, and it doesn't get any engagement because there's no reason to like it, and that's all it is. So just help people get through your application process. Another company that does this really well is Newton, so Newton, Europe. They do a very good job of this. So just check that out. They teach people how to get into consulting and all sorts. So yeah, have a look at that.
Fantastic, brilliant. Next question. So regarding asking for those kind of calls, I'm interested in the marketing. I'm interested in marketing in the sports sector at the moment. So many people are looking for work. How can you stand out from those transactional requests to hiring managers? So I think they're saying, I think you understand.
Yeah. I mean, it's a perfect industry for this because people love talking about sport and things that they're passionate about, right? So if I work in marketing at one of these organizations, I used to work at BT Sport. We post about what we do on LinkedIn because we think it's really cool and we want other people to know about it, I guess. So they're going to post about it, and you're then going to connect with them and like their post. You're going to comment on it and say, "Oh, great to see you've just added this feature to the BT Sport app. Really impressed by that." You're going to, as I said, dig the well before you're thirsty. So you want to message them on LinkedIn and say, "Love that feature. Really like what you did there. What was it that gave you that inspiration to add that new feature to the app?" And they're going to be like, "Oh, this guy really interested in this. That's cool." And then it's a genuine conversation. So engage with their post and then message them and just give them value. Give them feedback. It might be it could be even slightly more negative. It could be like, "I didn't quite like this feature about it, but I loved what you're trying to do," or something. So people are always looking for engagement and comments and feedback. So just slide into the DM and do that, I would say. I think that's a great way to do it. And then, as I said, make your own content as well. So you've done a podcast with Samabi. I don't know if that. I don't think that's out yet.
It's not out
but
yet, no.
It's not out there yet. Okay, I won't spoil it. I won't spoil it then. But think about creating your own content. So let's say you're connected to the guys at BT Sport and Sky Sports. Guess what you can do? Write articles about the sports rights sagas that go on, and add that to LinkedIn, and they might start even engaging with your content. At very least, you can just send it to them on LinkedIn. Again, we're on the spectrum over here of that what no one else is doing. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Yeah, fantastic, great answer. So Andy said, "Do you have to be invited into Clubhouse?" You do. I think you still got to be invited. Is that right, Toby?
You do. It's invite only for now, but ask around. I mean, they want more people on the platform now. It's not so much as difficult as it was before. As long as you've got an iPhone, that's the hard thing.
I reckon if you put a LinkedIn post out, you probably get an invite, right?
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, I've got 3 invites.
You got 3. I've probably got a couple.
First person to message me on LinkedIn gets an invite.
There you go.
I'm happy to give those out. If Andy, you want an invite, then hit me up on LinkedIn. I'll give you an invite. And then we look at the job description, and it says we want a team player with a can-do attitude. I think that was relating to something before. So we'll go to next.
But then if you put that in your application, what does that mean though? You know what I mean? Like if anyone could put it, It doesn't mean anything to me. You've got to prove it. You've got to tell me about the teams that you were in, and then quantify the results you had. I was successful in this team. We hit our targets, exceeded them by 5%. That is so much more powerful than saying you're a team player. You know, that's kind of almost an assumption of something that they're going to want from anyone. So you just got to stand out from the crowd. I mean, yeah, if it's generic and anyone can put it, then it's not going to help you, because think about it. If someone just doesn't put that they're a team player, am I going to assume they're not a team player? You know, it's just.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love the whole idea of, you know, if anyone can say it, then is it worth saying? I just it's so true. You know, and I talk a lot about this, as you know. You know, I see people's CVs. They say, I'm a proactive, organised person with a great work ethic. Well, I don't know that. It's just words on a piece of paper, isn't it?
It's completely subjective as well. Like, what is a team player? What is that?
Yeah.
What is a hard worker? Am I a hard worker?
If you're going to say these things, use examples. You know, I don't know. I hosted a 24-hour career job search coach marathon. I mean, that shows I'm organised and hardworking. Like, I didn't need to say those words for people to take that from that you know, from that context, right? I think show don't tell is the phrase that I use. So show what you're doing instead of telling. I think is so much more powerful.
Yeah.
I've got another question here.
And quantify if you can. Perfect.
Yeah, and quantify. Another question is, so Tobi, what needs to change for the quality of student graduates' understanding of CVs and networking to improve?
Say that again, Neil. Sorry.
So if you look at the question, if you can click ask a question at the bottom. But Tobi, what needs to change for the quality of students/graduates' understanding of CVs and networking to improve?
What needs to change for the quality? Well, I mean, I think we're trying to do that right now, really, Neil. I mean, we're doing these things completely for free. So what I want to do is make everything free for students and graduates. And I know you have your paid courses as well, but you put out so much free content on LinkedIn, so much free content on Clubhouse. My website, wearediverse.io, is just full of free resources, and I'm going to try and add as much as I can on this is what you need to put in a networking message, just to literally give them everything, give them all the best advice, get people like Neil onto the podcast and tell people how to get jobs. That's what I'm trying to do with my platform, is like democratize all of this stuff. So it doesn't matter where you went to uni or if you went to uni at all, you know, you can all get the best of career advice. And then suddenly someone who went to Oxbridge, who's got all the, not to generalize too much, but if you've kind of not had the same challenges, then suddenly the playing field starts leveling a little bit, because Neil is the best at what he does in giving this advice. And I get access to Neil's advice no matter where I come from. Now that I've got Clubhouse, now that I've got LinkedIn, now that I'm listening to his podcast. So in answer to the question, I think I would just encourage them to make sure they find the right people, you know, Gavin, the people you've had on already, you know, Dom, yourself. Follow these people on LinkedIn. You know, look at the free resources that we're giving out. Join Clubhouse, get involved in the conversation, and just completely democratize this whole thing. There doesn't need to be a big divide, and we should be ranking people based on their competencies and their fit for the role and how they come across in the interview and how much they really want it, not how much they know about writing a good CV. You know, it should be CV should almost be obsolete in the sense that they're all just really good because it's just standard, you know what I mean? And it's not based on the fact that you had this internship or your CV is perfectly formatted. It should be, you're really passionate about this role, you're really keen to work here, and you're going to be a great fit for the team.
Fantastic. I've got another question come through here. How had Diverse helped to make an impact to remove unconscious bias in the recruitment process, and what initiatives should organisations be taking to remove this?
One quick one I would say. So, and this does go back to evolutionary psychology. So
love it.
Naturally, we are more likely to feel comfortable with others that look like us, right? And that's an uncomfortable thing that a lot of people don't want to say, but that is the truth. We are naturally, you get a little bit more comfortable if you're in a foreign country and you see someone who looks just like you from your country, immediately you kind of feel a bit more comfortable. So that's already an unconscious bias that exists. If you have an interview with one person from one demographic who is the interviewer and they represent one demographic only, they're going to have a natural unconscious bias for their demographic. So one easy, quick thing employers can do is not just have one demographic in the room. Have panelists, have at least 2 interviewers who represent kind of, hopefully you got a man and a woman, for example, or people who identify as such, to give 2 different perspectives, because you've got 2 different unconscious biases. Everyone's got our own bias. And what a trick we can use is, when the interview is over, rather than immediately conversing, go into 2 separate rooms and rate the candidates based on like an official kind of pre-agreed scorecard, which determines how good that person is. Because otherwise, what we get is, we have the interview with Neil, and I turn to my friend, and they go, "Oh, Neil was really good, wasn't he?" And I go, "Oh yeah, he was." That sort of already impacts. There's already an unconscious bias going on there. Maybe I don't think Neil was that good. Let me go and review that separately. Yeah. So that's one thing that we advise to do, definitely. And it's just all about getting everyone in the room. Have variety. We can do unconscious bias training, sure, but an easier thing to do is just get more perspectives. Get a panel of interviews, or at least a couple of people, and do it that way. That's what I would say about that. That's kind of what we would advise clients to do. But yeah, that's my perspective.
Fantastic. Look, this has been a great session. I've really enjoyed it, Toby. I didn't know you were going to come on and try and beat Dom at his own game. But it's... you should. I'll tag him in the replay and say, look, we had someone better on later, Dom. Sorry about that. You should have turned up with a bow tie and everything. I just want to
switch it up. Yeah, I just want to switch up because you've got a lot of amazing careers coaches. And I don't know, I hope that people in the audience kind of feel a bit empowered by the fact that I don't know what I'm doing as well. Do you know what I mean? I've just joined this whole thing and just sort of figured it out from people like you on my CV and some interview. I'm not like a professional doing this. Yeah. Everyone can do these things.
Yeah, and it's just about learning from others, and that's what the Clubhouse has created. But I mean, looking at the messages, everyone's loved what you've been saying, mate. So thank you so much for coming on. How can people find you? Go to wearediverse.io. That's the website. You can sign up as a candidate if you want any free careers resources. No catch whatsoever. Everything is free. Or employers, you can kind of reach me there if you go through post a job. You can email me at hello@wearediverse.io as well. But yeah, catch us on Clubhouse, Wednesdays, usually Fridays. Catch me on Instagram, We Are Diverse as well. Or it's Tobi Ogundpe. So that's Ogundpe. That's the Nigerian in me, on LinkedIn as well. So there you go. Amazing. Thank you so much. I'm going to head off for this one. And we've got Gary Wills on next. A lot of you know who Gary is, and he's going to be delivering a fantastic talk for you all on From Furlough to Future, the top 10 job search hacks. So again, thank you, Toby. Really appreciate you taking the time. I can see how much people loved it, and they're saying thank you at the side as well. So yeah, I'll speak to you next Wednesday probably.
Go have a nap, Neil. Go put your feet up.
I can't do that.
Thank Alex for running your whole life and enjoy yourself for a bit.
I will too, mate. All right, I'll speak to you soon.
Cool.
Cheers.
Cool.
Take care.
Amazing.
Bye-bye.
Bye.